Hey everyone, I'm Isaac and welcome back to Isaac Reviews 2024. Back in December, I did a video on Netflix's Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire, the latest project from well-known filmmaker Zack Snyder. Just to recap, it was a terrible movie. While it had some good CGI and beautiful cinematography, that unfortunately could not save the terrible writing that tried to write off the success of other more popular sci-fi franchises, but failed to understand what made them so good in the first place. But I guess Netflix and Snyder must have had some hope in this as a franchise, because now we're on to part 2 of Rebel Moon with the Scargiver. Given how bad the first movie was, I had very little expectations for the sequel, and even though I was expecting basically nothing from this, I still felt let down by what I saw. It takes place immediately after the events of the first Rebel Moon, where a small group of rebels are preparing to go to war and protect their planet against a totalitarian regime. So, like I said earlier, it's every science fiction space opera you've seen before, but infinitely more boring. That's probably my biggest problem with the Rebel Moon duology. There is literally nothing I care about, seeing as how the movie doesn't do anything to make its characters worth caring about. The most we get is an insanely tedious scene of exposition dumping backstories, but other than that, these characters have no development, no arcs, no internal struggles, no good performances, nothing. They simply exist to move the story forward. And on that note, the Scargiver is terribly written. The only thing going on is that the characters need to destroy a ship that's coming to invade their planet, and barely anything happens beyond that, with the pacing being excruciatingly boring. Oh yeah, and another thing, this movie has way too much slow-mo. There was already an ungodly amount of it in part 1, but here it probably takes up a quarter of the runtime. And the slow-mo isn't even used in a way that makes sense. It's just there because I guess Zack Snyder thought it would look cool. Well, sorry to break it to you, but it just looks stupid. And not even the action scenes can redeem this movie. Not only is there way too much slow-mo, but the choreography is boring and there's next to no new locations to be found. If I could be slightly more positive for a moment, I guess there was some nice cinematography and the CGI was competent, but even that does little to redeem the Scargiver, especially with how the sets and costumes are as boring as the grain these movies have such a heavy focus on. Overall, I have no idea why Netflix is letting Zack Snyder continue this franchise. Rebel Moon Part 2 The Scargiver takes every bad element of the first Rebel Moon and amplifies it tremendously. The writing is even worse than before, with somehow less happening throughout the span of 2 hours, the characters have zero development, and there's so much slow-mo that it's flat out baffling. Even if you're a diehard Zack Snyder fan, I'd strongly advise not seeing this movie whatsoever. There's far better movies both in theaters and on Netflix that you could be watching instead, and Netflix should not need any incentive to continue this franchise whatsoever. 2 out of 10. Next time, however, I'll be talking about Challengers. I initially didn't expect much from this movie other than it having Zendaya, tennis, and polyamory. However, the reviews so far have been glowing, so maybe I might be in for something great, who knows? In the meantime, thanks for watching this episode of Isaac Reviews 2024, subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!